So when I left the Gold Coast, when we made a decision to leave the Gold Coast and take the kids on this pilgrimage, uh, one of the things I thought, well, there's many things I thought. Some of them were a waste of thinking time. Others were just like, this is going to be great opportunities. I knew that. And of course, there's things that have happened I didn't even know about. That's what happens when you do something you've never done before. But one of the things I thought would happen, and it has, and it's happened straight away, I thought this is going to be a great opportunity to show my children how to become a professional friend maker. And we've got opportunities everywhere, particularly when you go somewhere and you don't know anyone, you kind of have to make friends. And I think it's fun. I love it. I just love it. But when we got to Greece, and I think it might have been the first we got there one day, and then the next morning we went for a walk, and we're walking along where we were in Rafina, and it's sort of like there's a port, there's all restaurants, but it's really quiet. It was off season, and we're walking along, and as we're walking along, this crazy man, it appeared to be crazy the way he ran across the road to our family. I'm like, hang on a minute, do I know him? He's running across, and he's talking Greek, and then we start talking. Yeah, you're Australian, Melbourne, best, Anyway, long story short, he come out of a restaurant, and there's all these restaurants. I'm guessing there's maybe a dozen, 15 type restaurants, fish markets, all these, because it's on the ocean there. And this bloke comes out, and he just built rapport like I've never seen it done before. And he said, "Are you hungry?" And we're like, "Not really, but come to my restaurant." So he brings us over. He's talking to the kids. He's talking to my wife Michelle, me, and basically drags us in, sits us down at this little restaurant. It's tiny, okay, and our family took up half the restaurant, and he just starts bringing food out. We ate, and I'm thinking, it was just absolutely amazing. And he's telling stories. He's got pictures up all over him of years and years ago, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it, and just asking all stories and so forth. And he just was very free willing in giving it to me. And what I noticed was, it was a great example to show me. Everyone's like, wow, this guy. He'd been there about 40 years in this part of Greece. He'd had a couple of different restaurants. I think it might have even been longer. It might have been that restaurant. Because it was I remember he said early 80s, he told us a story. He was going to go to Melbourne because he had family there, but he was actually had his bags packed. He was telling me he had his bags packed. He's on the deck ready to get on the boat, and he didn't get on the boat because his mum was crying. He didn't want to upset his mum, and his mum was upset. So he stayed and ran restaurants. But this is what was really interesting, and what I got the opportunity to talk to my kids about, because every time we walked along there, we noticed, because it was quiet time, every restaurant was dead. There was nobody. There was the shop owners eating in there. That was it. But this guy's restaurant, he always had people in there. And of course, every time we went past, he'd come out in Greece, so we'd end up eating his restaurant. And he'd serve us, and I always talked to the other people, and they all said the exact same thing. This guy, there was Greek people who lived, or there was people from England, people from different parts of the world that actually lived in the Greek islands. And Rafina, that's kind of like the main bit where you go out to all the Greek, 280 islands. So he just knew everyone. Everyone knew him. Everyone said he'd done the exact same thing to me. He would just build rapport. And man, and it's funny, over that time we spent there in Rafina in Greece, my kids got it. You see, everywhere we went, we were trying to make friends. We were not trying, we were saying hello to people, different restaurant owners or kids, and it was great because that town square where we were, it was great. It was interesting. It was great to show for me, but to show my kids, like the restaurant owners, they'd be working the restaurants, and all the kids would be playing in the centre of the town, the centre square. So, I mean, it was just absolutely extraordinary. It was amazing. I loved it. The kids loved it, I think. Anyway, what do you think? Well, let's maybe ask them, eh? What was it like when that bloke ran across? Do you remember?
He was a crazy man. He was very funny. He had like no front teeth. And we were all like, oh my god, what is this man? How do you feel about it?
From what I was saying, that was a good visual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What about you, mate?
I reckon what I saw him, I remember the last night when we were there, he had a big cut in his head because he was bleeding, he'd got stitches, and all his hair was just filled with blood. He didn't wash it, and then he ends up, because he has no front teeth, picking up the table with his front teeth. So funny.
Yeah, he told us he had like 2 days off
In his whole life.
Of working, which is
a funeral
crazy.
and a wedding.
Yeah, very crazy.
Yeah. And what about when we played with the kids? The soccer.
Zali played with the kids a lot.
The soccer over night time.
How
What
did
was
it
that
feel
one?
making friends?
I don't know.
Good?
Yeah.
Well, what was it like? Because that was strange, wasn't it? Going
Because
from
they
the
didn't
kids
speak
at home.
English, so you have
Yeah.
to try just use your actions to talk to them.
Yeah. I remember Mianna playing with them, but she was a bit big.
I was too big.
What was it like, that part of it, when we first got there? We thought, what the heck?
And just like the different side of the road driving, different buildings.
Yeah.
What about when we went to the soccer match? I made that friend.
That was very fun.
We
Yeah.
watched the soccer game one random day. That was so random.
I went up to a random guy and said, hey, do you know where the soccer team's playing? He said, my brother's playing tomorrow at 10.
And then we all watched it.
That's right, we went to training.
We all went to watch them.
That was interesting because, you know, as I'm talking to my kids and teach them how to look them in the eye, you know, pay attention when people are speaking, remember things about them. And this guy, he was just amazing because, as my young bloke Denzel remembered, the very last night we said we're leaving, we were like leaving at, I don't know, 8:30, and we went there at 6 o'clock to have our last meal with him and say goodbye. And he's, oh, bye, goodbye. And his wife come out because they've been there. She didn't want us to leave. And then he goes, come on, everyone stand around. And there was other people in the restaurant. And this restaurant was full. It was a small restaurant. Every other restaurant was dead, right? And then he goes, everyone stand back, because he had an accident and he had no front teeth. And this trick was he picked this table up with his teeth. And but what he did, like we're obviously talking about him now, it was memorable. When we think of Greece, man, we think of Rafina and we think of this crazy guy. So I say all that to say this, you know, and that's one of the things I think as people, something we can teach our children, you know, we teach each other, let's impact people. Let's make a difference in people's life. Like this guy was so interested in who we were, where we're from. We kept coming back. And it wasn't just he did it to us, he did it to everyone. And as I'm teaching my kids to be friend makers, be people's best friend, guess what happens? You know, people remember you. So we were all, like we're talking about, we want to go back there. You know, we're countries from there. But we're going to loop back and go back and see them. So I don't know what talent or what gift you have or what's something that you maybe think, I don't know what to do. Be yourself and just be the authentic you and love people. Listen to people. Be present when you're with them. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think of this. 1, 2, 3.
Jump
Hey!